watching the History Fella channel. In this video we're looking at the Battle of Antietam, or Sharpsburg. The Confederacy's first invasion of the North would begin with Lee's army of 55,000 men moving into Maryland. Aware that a further victory over the Army of the Potomac might precipitate foreign intervention from Britain and France to force a negotiated peace. After the setback at Second Bull Run under Major General Polk, President Lincoln now replaced him with their previous commander, Major General George B. McClellan. McClellan was a superb administrator, but lacked the killer instinct. But as both sides tracked one another through Maryland, McClellan was provided with the discovery of the Confederate battle plans, Special Order 191, detailing their movements in the surrounding countryside. McClellan now knew Lee's army was split into 3 columns and could be picked off and destroyed piecemeal. Yet he did not act, but sat on the information for a crucial 18 hours, allowing Lee time to coalesce the greater portion of his forces and set about building defensive works along Antietam Creek and await attack from forces coming to destroy him. His men were protected by woods, sunken roads, and Antietam Creek, which could be crossed by 3 bridges, but his position was still precarious if attacked along the broad front simultaneously. It would be a battle of 3 phases. At dawn, on Lee's left flank, Major General Joseph Hooker's 1st Corps advanced up the Hagerstown Pike to dislodge the 7,000 men of Stonewall Jackson from a plateau on which he sat a whitewashed church belonging to a local sect of the German Baptists. The fighting would be fierce, as both sides fought for possession of cornfields that would change hands 15 times. Whole regiments entered the fray and disappeared into a firestorm of cannon and musketry. By 10 a.m, 2 Union commanders had left the field wounded, and combined casualties stood at 13,000 men. The battle now opened upon the centre of the Confederate line, as Major General Edwin V. Sumner's Union 2nd Corps moved towards the sunken roads occupied by Major General D. H. Hill's division of 2,500 men. Although heavily outnumbered, the Confederates had strong natural defensive works to beat back the brigade's strength waves of blue. As the carnage continued, both sides reinforced until all of Lee's reserves had been used, and significantly, many of his subordinate commanders overseeing the defense were out of action. Union infantry finally exposed a weak point in the line and began enfilading fire into the startled Southerners, wreaking havoc. In 3 hours, across an area of several hundred yards, over 5,000 men would fall, thus christening the position Bloody Lane. The situation was further exacerbated when a miscommunication had what remained of the Confederate centre about face with the intent to retreat back to Sharpsburg. Major General James Longstreet's quick actions, with a counter-attack and an artillery fire, drove the Federals back to their original starting points. But still, McClellan didn't respond with reinforcements to exploit the position. By the afternoon, the focus of Union attacks now shifted to the southern end of the Confederate line, where Lee's weakened right flank. He had taken various units away from this sector to reinforce along his northern lines. These awaited to repulse Major General Ambrose Burnside's 12,000-strong 10 Corps. which advanced against 3,000 Confederates holding the ridges heading towards Sharpsburg. A small force of 400 Georgians defended the vital stone bridge crossing. Burnside sent in his forces, one brigade at a time, through this bottleneck, which was repulsed by the Georgians time and again, until finally the 51st Pennsylvania established a bridgehead, and a push onto Sharpsburg was expected imminently. In the nick of time, as Burnside took another 2 hours to bring up supplies of ammunition, the light division of A.P. Hill arrived after a 17-mile forced march from Harper's Ferry. They slammed into the advancing Federals, who by now were a mere 200 yards from capturing Sharpsburg itself. Driving them back towards the creek and to the bridge they had expended so much blood capturing. An unnerved Burnside, not realizing he still outnumbered his new force, begged McClellan for reinforcements, but despite 2 corps in reserve, he refused. By 5:30 p.m, all was quiet along that line, as both sides recovered from the carnage that they had inflicted upon one another. The next day, both sides recovered their dead and exchanged their wounded under a flag of truce. Lee's battered army retreated towards the safety of Virginia, having suffered 31% casualties. Though a Pyrrhic victory, Lincoln now seized the moment to announce his Emancipation Proclamation for the South's 3.5 million slaves, which secured the goal of discouraging foreign intervention for a negotiated settlement. If you found the information in this video informative, please feel free to give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And I thank you very much for watching and listening to this video.